I need to throw out there. Most people, do you find play PPR leagues, or they do not play PPR leagues?
The majority are in some form of PPR. I think the standard, even though it's called standard, is kind of dying. All the leagues that we try to play in and do are half PPR.
Okay.
I feel like it doesn't overvalue the whole like screen for 0 yards thing, but you still get value for the passing in the NFL. That is a passing league now.
Okay, so that should inform everybody about the questions that I'm about to ask. First overall pick is uniformly Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt in your mind.
He laps the field. It's one of those, whenever you've got anyone within a position that gaps second place, and predictably so. I mean, if he's on the field, he's going to be the number one.
Okay, so McCaffrey is the number one guy.
Yeah.
Our son, Cooper Eisen, has a second overall position on Sunday. And for all the second overall position players out there, you would choose who?
So, I mean, we always recommend kind of know where you're going with your draft. Like,
what does that mean?
As in, like, players in the middle rounds, which positions do you feel stronger about? Like, there's a group of wide receivers that I like in this area, so I know that I will get some of them. Well, then maybe I'm going to start with Brees or Bijan at the number 2, or maybe there's running backs that I like later.
For 13-year-olds who might not have that mentality of looking down the road,
you just want the
mapping
name
out 6th-round draft strategies.
Dude, this is what you got to do. You got to get into the weeds.
I'm going Tyreek there.
Okay,
it's between him and CeeDee, but one of them is playing football right now, and that's a big tiebreaker for me. I like when my guys
compared to not playing,
not practicing, not being on the field. But
I think that seals it for Cooper, Suze, that because he's thinking Tyreek.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's been talking to us about for 2 reasons. One, he had Bijan last year, and he's got
the burns.
Well, I get what he's got BTSD. He's got Bijan.
But Arthur's gone now.
I understand that, but he just. You know how it works.
Yes.
How often do you choose a player first overall in your draft? Not just number 1 overall, but use a first-round pick in consecutive drafts after they have sorely disappointed you.
0%. 0%. You just can't do that. We're humans.
The Christian McCaffrey years after the 2 back-to-back years of season-ending injury, and we had to be on the mics like. I would still you had to talk quietly of like I would still take Christian McCaffrey number 1, and everyone's no, he's a bum, he's always hurt, like, but he's a really good player. And then guess who's an Iron Man now? Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, and so the other choice that he wouldn't make second overall that you mentioned, Mike, and again I don't know if it's his mother's influence or he's for being a Patriot fan, he just won't trust a Jet.
It's not a bad way to go.
He just won't. But I said to him, and this has nothing to do with my upbringing or any way, shape, or form. Brees Hall had 1,000 yards rushing last year in the dumpsterest of dumpsters, the fieriest of dumpsters. And but I think Tyreek would be the way to go, right? Certainly, if you're in a PPR league, you got to do something.
Yeah,
like that.
I think so. And the next pick that's going to come back around to him, there's still some really good running backs there. Devon Achane is there. Isaiah Pacheco is there.
You would use the 19th overall pick in a draft on Devon Achane.
I would, but probably not if I went Tyreek first. Two Dolphins, they're both not going to score on the same play, but that is a player I'm targeting there personally. I like Devon Achane. He is risky. He's smaller. He's undersized, could get injured, but he's also one of those rare guys that if he gets the volume, he could break fantasy. He could be one of those guys that's like, oh man, You just ask yourself every time when you're playing a matchup and you look at the other team's players and you go, oh, no, that guy that you just don't want to play against. And to me, I think Devon Achane will develop into that type of player where you're like, he could put up 40 points this week.
Mike, give me a name of a player similar to that 2nd, 3rd round running back, wide receiver that some folks might say you're overdrafting, but you believe in, and that's a good spot. Certainly since – in a snake, you might not have another shot at. You might overdraft in that spot because you're not going to be picking again till 30, 40th overall.
Right. Yeah,
like that.
For me, that guy is Nico Collins of the Houston Texans. I think we all universally agree and love the Houston Texans, as you can see from where their wide receivers are all being drafted and Stroud is, last I saw, was the 5th quarterback going in ADP, which is like, that's a real big jump for a player who hasn't completely shown it, especially compared to like Jordan Love, who was better than Stroud last year for fantasy, and yet Jordan Love is left as the QB 10 or so. But for me, Nico was one of those players that when we're watching them play in his first couple of years where there's nothing going on, you see the tiny glimpses of it and you hold out the hope. We always compare it to when Robert Woods was on the Buffalo Bills and nothing was happening for him. And you're like, there's something there. There's magic with this player. He just needs to get into the right situation. Robert Woods goes to the Rams, becomes a fantasy superstar for a few years. I have the belief that Nico will remain the number one. I mean, they gave him that big bag of money. They didn't have to. It was smart, in my opinion, because now they don't have to play this game that all the other superstar wide receivers are playing right now. They said, Nico, here's enough money. You take that. You come be our number one. We have huge concerns that does Stephon Diggs still have it of when the offense changed for Buffalo halfway through the year. He vanished. That was a vanishing in fantasy football that I can't remember, where an elite player is halfway through the year, doesn't get hurt, just stops producing, and it gets phased out of the offense. And we do like Tank Dell quite a bit on our show, but for me, Nico, I think, is locked in as the number one guy.
Who other than Achane is that guy for you then?
I would say Isaiah Pacheco he's locked into a 3-down role. Jerick McKinnon's not coming back. He's playing for a team in the Chiefs that I think are being undervalued. It's hard to think that the Chiefs, the back-to-back Super Bowl winners, are undervalued, but they are.
Yeah.
You look at how many points the Chiefs offense has scored year after year after year.
It's not last year, which is maybe the reason why people would be undervalued.
Exactly. And L'Jarius Sneed not being part of the defense, I think is going to really help the offense just need to push it a little bit more. And the way that Andy Reid has talked about Pacheco in the passing game, he was asked, like, who's going to step up for Jerick McKinnon? He's like, Pacheco's, he's got every route. He's got the pass protections. He's got great hands. So if he can be a 3-down back for Mahomes, you go back to like when you had a top 5 season for Kareem Hunt. I think that's in the cards for Pacheco.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.